Hey, you. Me? Yeah, you. Me? Yeah. Yeah, you, Steady Eddie. You. Me? But You're Steady Eddie. Yeah, I'm Steady Eddie, but you're also Steady Eddie. I think we did this joke before in another video, but it's fine. Do you want a Stamplar build? Boy, do I want a Stamplar build! I want the best Stamplar build there is for this Ascending Tide patch in the Elder Scrolls Online. Well, boy, do I have a treat for you, because today we're doing the best Stamplar build of all time, the best one. The best in the Ascending Tide patch. This is the meta. You're never gonna die. You're gonna kill loads of people. Yeah. That sounds really good. That's what I want. I want never die. 50 million resistances. Never die. Never die meta Stamplar build. That's what I want. That's what I've been looking for. Yeah. Well, boy, do I have the build for you. God damn it, let's just get into the build. Hello, party people, it's me, Steady Eddie from the YouTube, and today I have a very, very strong Stamina Templar build for this Ascending Tide patch in ESO. Now, there's been a lot of changes this patch. Couple sets have been added in, as well as the hybridization has changed Templar massively. In many ways, this is just a general Templar build, but I've kept some elements of Stamplar because that's been my main class over the years. I don't do build videos that often. I'm going to try and do a few more this patch. I know they're helpful. I'm trying to be helpful for once. So if you're interested, subscribe. I'm doing all the YouTuber things, subscribe, like, comment, whatever. It helps me out massively. And without further ado, let's get into the build. So, as in the build videos I've done in the past, I'm going to go through everything relatively quickly before going back and explaining the choices that I've made and showing you why I've done the things that I've done. I've also put a link to the build in the build editor down below, both in the pinned comment and the description, so you can go and check that out. And if you need to go back and check certain things, see certain bits, you can do that without having to sort of scroll through the video. So for my sets, I am running Mechanical Acuity front bar with Rallying Cry back bar. I am running a Balorg monster helmet with a one-piece marking ring and one-piece trainee. I have a dual-wheeled front bar and a bow back bar, and I am running one-piece heavy, one-piece light, and 5 medium. As for my traits, armor traits and my glyphs, I'm running 3 triglyphs on sort of on my head, my chest, and my legs, which are the big pieces, so to speak. And then I am running the rest stamina glyphs. I am running 1 reinforced and 6 well fitted. Now you'll see that I'm running divines here. That's just because I don't have enough transmutes to change it. I'm going to run well fitted when I have enough transmutes to. For my jewelry, I am running 2 infused and 1 bloodthirsty. I'm running all spell damage glyphs on that, and I'll get back to why later. And then for my weapons, I am running on my dual wield a Nirn-honed mace and a sharpened mace. Now, it's important that you use maces. Maces give you penetration, which is more damage in PvP than daggers, swords, and axes. Way more damage. So you want to go for maces. You also want to make sure you have your Nirn-honed mace in your main hand. Now, I don't know how this passive works, but basically, because of the dual wield expert passive, you get the most out of running Nirn-honed on a main hand. You get about 200 extra weapon and spell damage. Don't ask me why. It says offhand in the trait tooltip. Just go with the flow. Nirn-honed in the main hand gives you about 200 extra weapon and spell damage if you're running dual wield. I'm running escapist poisons. Now, there are a couple things you can do with your dual wield, which again I'll get back to later. But yeah, for now I'm running escapist poisons, which immobilizes your target and grants you unstoppable, which makes you immune to CCs for 4.4 seconds. I find this really useful and outnumbered, but again I'll show you the other options later. On my back bar bow, I am running defending with an increased weapon and spell damage enchantment. To show you my character sheet, I am a wood elf. I think Imperial would be best in slot for this build, but I have been a wood elf for ages and I don't intend to change. As a 5'6" man, Wood Elves gives me the representation that I've craved my whole life. That's a joke. I'm running the Serpent Mundus with Jewels of Misrule and Vamp Stage 3. Now, Jewels of Misrule is basically the cheap version of Orzorga's Smokespear Haunch. It's only a tiny bit less good. It's only a tiny bit less powerful. If you have loads of money and you don't mind spending loads of money, get Smokespear Haunch. It's a little bit better, but it's like 10k per unit. Jewels of Misrule is like 100, 200 gold per unit. It's so cheap comparatively for not that much less power. I probably do have enough gold to run Smokespear Haunch, but the price difference is so big that I still run Jewels of Misrule. Just as a note on pots I am running tri-pots. I used to run physical resistance pots for ages and ages, but I've gone to tri-pots, and the reason is, when we go into my skills here, I am running a lot of Magicka skills. I am running Restoring Focus, Living Dark, Resolving Vigor, Extended Ritual, Honor the Dead, yes, on Stamplar. Again, we'll get back to this later. And Precognition from my ultimate. Then on my front bar, I'm running Power of the Light, Shuffle, Biting Jabs, Razor Caltrops, and Binding Javelin with Crescent Sweep for my ultimate. I'll get back to the choices I made later, again with that. Then for my CP, I am running Survival Instincts, Celerity, Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Swift Renewal, Biting Aura, Master at Arms, and Ironclad. So that's the short of the build. But why have I made the choices I have made? And what things could you change to suit your own playstyle or preferences better? So for the sets, I am running Mechanical Acuity front bar, and I know I wasn't convinced of this set either, but after using it for a while and getting used to how it works, I don't think I could run any other front bar set. The damage on this during the proc is just ridiculous and really suits this Templar playstyle, as well as my own playstyle. This is the only part of the build that I would not change. I don't think there's any other offensive set that gives what this set gives. And the thing is that when I get onto the offensive and try to pull off a burst, I want to be able to definitely get a kill. And Mechanical Acuity enables that. It increases my burst potential by so much that people just melt and they don't know how to deal with the damage. This is also why I run Balorg instead of the alternative, which is Magma Incarnate. Once again, when I get onto my burst, I want to finish people off. And storing up ultimate with Balorg enables that huge damage when I use my Crescent Sweep, especially within the Mechanical Acuity proc. And I regularly hit 10 to 15k Crescent Sweeps with about 150 to 200 Balorg because of this. You could use Magma Incarnate here instead if you want for a bit of extra resistances, but this is why I prefer Balorg. I'm just explaining why I prefer Balorg. As for Rallying Cry, which is my back bar set, there's a couple of options here. Rallying Cry is a ridiculously good set. It basically gives Powerful Assault and Impregnable Armor smashed into one. It gives you 300 weapon and spell damage and 1600 crit resist when you critically heal within a PvP zone. It lasts for 20 seconds, but the cooldown is only 15 seconds, so it pretty much has a 100% uptime during combat. The other set here you could use is Wretched Vitality. Wretched would give you more sustain to the point that you could run the Shadow Mundus instead of the Serpent Mundus, which would give you more damage. However, 1600 crit resistance is a lot of mitigation, so you would basically be running more damage at the sacrifice of more mitigation. Another reason you might run Wretched instead of Rallying Cry is if you run in a big group. The Rallying Cry buff decreases in power for the more people that are in your group, meaning that it's pretty much useless in any group of more than 6 or so people. And the last reason you might run Wretched instead of Rallying is if someone else in your group is already running it. If someone else is already running Rallying Cry, the effects from this set don't stack, and so you might as well just swap to Wretched Vitality or another set like Alchemist, Essence Thief, if a friend is giving you this buff already. Now, I mentioned that there are a couple of options for the dual wield. One of them is that Charged Mace has been buffed. So it's very viable to swap your sharpened offhand mace for a charged mace. And in the case that you do this, you would run a flame glyph on your main hand and a poison glyph on your offhand. This would reliably proc the burning status effect as well as the poison status effect on your enemies, which is pretty good damage. Having said that, it would be very single target, and because of Mechanical Acuity and Balorg, I don't exactly struggle with damage. So I opted for the Escapist Poisoned with the Sharpened to help me more in those outnumbered situations. For the jewelry, I run spell damage glyphs. Running spell damage glyphs is more beneficial than running weapon damage glyphs. Since the hybridization this patch, every skill scales off of the higher out of your weapon and spell damage no matter what. This means that if your spell damage is higher than your weapon damage, then your stamina skills such as your vigor or your biting jabs will still scale off of spell damage. It just so happens that Templar has a passive that grants you minor sorcery, so that whenever you use a Dawn's Wrath skill, you get minor sorcery, which means you can stack your spell damage higher than your weapon damage. The only problem with this, if we go over to my skills, is that Power of the Light hasn't been hybridized, so Power of the Light still scales off of weapon damage. The reason I'm still running Power of the Light instead of the other morph Purifying Light is basically for sustain reasons. It's too much of a magicka drain to run Purifying Light along with all the other magicka skills I'm running, and Power of the Light still hits really hard. And it's also nice to have a consistent minor breach up on my enemy with Power of the Light. People always say jabs procs minor breach. It does, but not often enough for it to be worth it. If you're running charged on your dual wield, you might consider running Purifying Light, because at the point you run charge, biting jabs would be proccing minor breach quite a lot. As for my skills, the only real flex spot for me here is Honor the Dead. I'm still not convinced I definitely need it, and I don't use it that much. However, the points when I do use it, I feel like I would die without it. You could swap this for Race Against Time, which would increase your critical damage by 10%. You could also use this morph as well, which also gives your critical damage 10%. This obviously synergizes very well with Mechanical Acuity, but I don't feel like I'm struggling with damage at all, so I went for Honor the Dead. You could also swap it for your front bar and then run Shuffle back bar instead, and then swap it for Camo Hunter, which would give you a bit of extra weapon damage when you're on your front bar. The reason I run it on my back bar, Honor the Dead, is because my crit chance on my back bar is significantly higher than on my front bar because of the bow passives and because of the one line of crit chance that I get in Rallying Cry. And I think that's the build. You'll notice that I haven't shown the stat sheet. Look, I'm not necessarily a fan of stat sheets, as I don't think they really reflect a build properly in a lot of cases. However, if you do want to take a look and see what my weapon damage, spell damage reaches, which is about 7k by the way, just a small flex there at the end, just a small brag. No, it's not that. But again, there's so many things that constitute towards good damage. That 7k weapon damage could be awful. So that's why I don't like stat sheets. But if you do want to take a look, remember you can check it in the build editor link below. And thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Like and subscribe, please. Please, I need you to like and subscribe, please. I'm begging you.